We are children.
Yep. Yeah, very much.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Metal Summit. We appreciate you guys, as always, tuning in with us and spending your Wednesday nights with us. As always, we bring you your island of misfit toys. We got Jason, we've got Angel, and we've got Psycho Steve, the beautiful one of the episodes. Before I bring in our co-hosts officially, we did actually want to take an opportunity to speak highly of the recently departed Frankie Banali of Quiet Riot, who we lost a few days ago to a long battle with cancer. While his announcement of his diagnosis was relatively recent, there's always that possibility that, you know, knowing his strength and his privacy, that he dealt with it a little bit in privacy. Before actually announcing it to all of us. So, Jason, why don't you kick us off with one of your fondest Quiet Riot memories?
Well, Quite right. I just, I don't know. I've always enjoyed listening to him, certain songs, but, nothing, nothing too, personal though. But, it's a shame, it's just a shame, you know, cancer sucks, and, that's, I guess, all I really have to say.
No worries. Absolutely, brother. Nah, no worries. And sometimes it's, just that simple. And sometimes, there's not a whole lot to say on the matter, but it doesn't make it any less powerful. Angel, why don't I kick it over to you?
Oh, I know this is a rare story. I never really shared it, but back in 2011, I was trying to sign Quiet Riot to a record label. So I got the chance to really see him as a manager, because he was also managing Quiet Riot. But just very nice. I mean, even though he wanted to go in a different direction, I still had a chance to talk to him. He was really nice. I kind of let the fan out in me, telling how much I enjoyed his music and everything. But like I said, just a tremendous heart, tremendous soul for Quiet Riot. Whatever Quiet Riot decides to do, hey, we'll go see him if they continue, because we know that they're simply celebrating his legacy, which is going to continue on through his music.
Absolutely, for sure. I'm going to chime in real quick because I actually want to save Psycho Steve for last on purpose. When it came to me, I, grew up on all that music, all that stuff. Loved it to my core. All those albums, from, of course, Metal Health, Condition Critical, all the way up to more recents like Rehab and stuff like that. They're all fantastic songs. We lost Kevin a while back, and now, fortunately, we don't have Frankie. But my coolest little story when it came to Frankie really just simply came out of like my professional career and stuff like that, from time I'd spent, playing music, but then up until I kind of joined the whole press world and doing that kind of stuff. Is a while back, I did a interview with Frankie that went very, very well. Like, it was great. We were talking about an album that was coming out, his relationship with, like, Durbin, his relationship with Kevin, and his all those type of things, all the way back to the time that he spent playing with Wasp. Because anytime I talk to somebody who had a connection to Wasp, I'm always interested about their experience in that band. And the thing that was just kind of cool is when we wrapped it all up, he and I were just kind of talking off the air. He was very complimentary about the interview. He really, really loved it. And he had straight up told me, he's like, look, man, if you ever need anything, you've got my number now. You keep it, you call it. It really doesn't matter what it is, but if you need me, just reach out, man, and give me a buzz, which is just kind of cool because, like, over your time doing what we've been very privileged to do, as well as anybody in the music brotherhood and sisterhood, you get those contacts, people that you meet and stuff like that, and numbers get exchanged as well. But the idea of having somebody like Frankie, who had met me previously at shows, but nothing more than just the typical fan interaction, to be so open and cool that whatever time I spent with him in that professional matter was cool enough for him to be like, hey, man, you're going to be cool to reach out if you need me. is very, very humbling, and it's very, very, cool to just feel that kind of exchange with somebody, especially the caliber of Frankie. And Psycho, I wanted to close with you on purpose because you've got a little bit more history when it comes to like illness and stuff like that with like cancer and everything. So talk a little bit about like, your story, but also your history with anything that could be with Frankie or Quiet.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say to Mark and Janet, thank you for joining us this evening. It's a great honor to actually speak with you besides Facebook friend you. So first of all, I just wanted to put it out there. Cancer does suck. Let's just put it out there. No matter what kind of cancer you have, skin, bone, whatever. Frankie left a legacy, as Angel said, 100%. Because every show that I saw, Quiet Riot, no matter who was the front person and like what lineup it was, he cared about the fans enough to hang out. I never saw him charge for a meet and greet, which was really cool because I understand bands make most of their monies with the meet and greet now. And he was just very receptive. He walked around after the show, took pictures with everybody, signed a bunch of stuff. And he was just like, just a really genuine kind of guy. And, I wish there was more musicians out there. And people don't understand, besides, Come On, Feel the Noise and Thunderbird, they have so many other incredible tunes with, they had Jizzy Pearl from Love Hate or Rat or, his solo project. And he also was in LA Guns, and they also had James Durbin, who was, one of the top runner-ups for American Idol. And he also has Alex Grossi, great guitarist, great guy, and Chuck Wright and Rudy Sarzo. And you hear any interview that Jay did or anybody, Frankie was just the real deal. There was no filter, no bullshit, just a good egg. And I'm just very blessed and fortunate that I could say I never got a chance to interview him, but I got to talk to him and just on fan interaction and just, he will definitely be missed. So we mourn in your loss, but we will celebrate your memory by playing the music loud and proud. And, everybody out there, get checked. No matter how old you are, you're not feeling right, get checked. I am a cancer survivor now, 6 years. And that's all you can say. And Godspeed, Frankie, and Regina and his family and his former bandmates and his current bandmates. I hope you guys go out and make them proud and keep Quiet Riot and Frankie and even Kevin's and even Randy's name alive. Because you have to remember, Randy Rhoads was the first guitarist in Quiet Riot. And Quiet Riot played with Van Halen their first big tour, and then it evolved and no one heard from them, and then they came out with that mental health album, and then they blew up like a tick, and look what happened. So like I said, enough of this spiel, just Godspeed, God bless, and thank you, Frankie, for the memories.
Absolutely, for sure, because they also they kicked off the legendary US Festival too of 1983 that gave us all those bands and stuff like that. So it's
true story.
Quiet Riot's not, they're not going anywhere as far as music legacy and all that stuff. But thanks so much to all the guys and everybody. We want to, thank you guys for giving your personal stories. Thank you to our fans for tuning in as well again. And joining us as always, we love you guys. The Metal Summoners are the best, for sure. And we also want to give a little bit of thank you as well to our very own Jason, who designed our new intro that you guys got to see today. So we appreciate you taking your time to hook us up with that, man. It was great work as always. And so I want to bring us in to our guests who have taken time out of their schedules as well to be featured on our episode. We very much appreciate them so much. So we want to bring in the co-owners of Rockin' Horror Apparel, musician Mark Hall, model actress Lizzy Borden. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening.
Of course, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us. very emotional because I remember watching MTV, and as soon as Quiet Riot would come on, my mom would be like, "Shut it off!" It's like it's pretty cool to grow up and have that, you know, and it's always gonna have meaning. That whole metal 80s, 90s, early whatever you want to call it, it's just magic. It never dies, ever. It's always in your heart. So every one of you said something that's very emotional. So
Absolutely, for sure. Mark, do you have any?
are we on? Are we recording?
We are on. We are
Yep.
live. Everybody heard everything.
All right, we're here to fuck shit up. You seen Step Brothers? That's us.
Absolutely, 100% for sure. Before we get into our normal line of questions, Mark, do you have any history of yourself with Frankie or Quiet?
No, not personally. But I mean, like you guys said, it's always just tragic and sad, you know, when you lose somebody. And you know, the both of us have kind of just seen it over the years as, you know, people pass away that were your maybe not so much idols, if they were, you know, or not, it doesn't matter, but just losing those influences and like musical figures, it's always sad. It's always like, oh shit, you know, you think that because you look up to them or whatever, they're going to live forever and this and that, and then you lose them, and then it's just like,
Wow.
oh shit,
Yeah.
you know, it puts a lot of things in perspective.
Like,
So nothing personal for me, but you know, I think we both can truly appreciate what all you guys said and just relate to that, you know, in different aspects. So
Absolutely, man, 100%. So one of the ways that we've been starting off really a lot of our interviews as of late, because it's kind of the way you kind of have to start, is 2020 has been an incredibly difficult year for the world. It's very unusual. Nobody's really dealt with anything the way that this has been going. So we just wanted to start. We've been starting things off. Tell us what you guys had lined up. What was going on for Rock and Horror at the time of lockdown, and then what have you guys been doing with your time and your company during it?
Well, at the time of the lockdown, we had just arrived back in California from driving to the East Coast, you know, to do a handful of conventions and everything. So, I mean, it's really been crazy. We left San Diego early March, and our whole drive, because obviously, as you know, Monster Mania was first up on the list, and then we had, I don't know, some other convention in the Midwest, and then we're heading to Dallas for an Oddity show, and that was our little like part of the country. And we're like, she's like, you know, I do most of the drive. She's like reading Twitter, and
so you did all the
okay,
drive.
I do all.
drive.
I'm trying to give you a little bit of credit.
I look for the
You
lose.
drove that one.
Yeah, we were sick.
She looks for the bathroom because I have a speeding problem and
He has a
also a
massive
very
speeding.
and a tiny black. You know, we're watching all this like go on as we're driving, you know, out to Jersey to do Monster Mania, and we're like, oh shit, like
It kept
there's
getting
this-
worse.
there's this virus. Like each day, we're like, oh, we're in New Mexico, like, oh, coronavirus, like it's not looking good. Oh, hey, we're in Illinois. It's getting worse. And then, you know, we got to Jersey, my parents' house in Jersey, and
There was no toilet paper, or there was no antibacterial. There was nothing.
yeah, I mean, you couldn't find anything at the stores.
To have that as a normal life, being able to go buy normal things, like go to the grocery stores and buy these things, it was very shocking. It's something that nobody ever thought. Like, hey, you can't go buy soap. Hey, you can't go buy antibacterial. Hey, you can't go buy TP. It was devastating and like shocking, and nothing anybody could prepare for. This is so that was the mood, Monster Mania, and then you got the
Yeah, I think
message.
yeah, I mean, you know, like we said, you know, we had all these conventions planned and this and that, and then, you know, it was like nobody knew, you know, nobody knew. At least we didn't know driving out and all that. And then it was like, you know, before the show, oh hey, Monster Mania is canceled. I got a text at like 4 a.m. or whenever it was. I was sleeping and I woke her up and I was like, hey, Monster Mania is canceled.
we need to go home.
It was like, we need to get out of here. We need to go back home. And so, you know, we basically stayed a couple extra days in Jersey with my parents, and we turned around and we drove back here. And, you know, that was, we had no idea what was going on. You know what I mean? Even then, like, we had plans to do other shows, and, you know, I had some gigs booked out here. And, you know, my buddy's texting me. He's like, "Oh, well, we have this gig at the, you know, this bar or whatever," and I'm like, "Oh shit! Well, our oddity show just got rescheduled for that date." I'm like, "How am I going to tell them?" You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm double booked all of a sudden. Little did we know that, you know, here we are 4 months later, nothing's open.
No gyms,
There's no
no
concerts. There's no gyms. There's no bars. There's no this or that. So I mean, I think that pretty much put the nail in the coffin, so to speak. So we had a lot of plans, and
the only thing I will say, the only thing that COVID taught us was, one, to appreciate the things you have, the people in your life, that you are on lockdown. If you're lucky enough to have somebody or friends that you could talk to. Two, it forced us, because normally when we're on the road, we don't get to create as much. We have all these ideas, but we don't get to create. So it forced us, gave us the luxury to actually create. And so that's when all the designs started coming out, and all the masks. Like, we never made masks before, but now masks are in demand. You know, like crazy stuff like that you just never think.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, we used a good chunk of it to just try and create new stuff and this and that. And, you know, being with all like the mask mandates and this and that, we got really busy with especially the masks, trying to stay fresh, put out new designs with that. But honestly, like, we also used a lot of the time as a little bit of downtime for us. I mean, we've been on the road for the past 4 years going, you know, convention to convention, city to city, whatever it may be. And it's been nice to have the break, for sure.
Always, every week, we would always be on the road, and we never had food in the house. And now we actually cook. We have food in the house. Like, we actually have a human life. And I hate to use that word, but, like, we didn't know what it was like to have dinner at a certain time, have breakfast, or to, like, you always lived out of a suitcase. So when you're always traveling, you're always packing. Like, we haven't used our suitcases in how many months, babe?
Probably going on 6.
And normally I always keep it packed. And this is the first time I took everything out and put it in the closet. And now we just, I don't know, it just feels like we're humans for once. I know that sounds crazy, but when you're always on the road, like, your home is never really home. It's just kind of like you come back and you refresh yourself, and you live in hotels. So now we're actually, like, we actually hung art on our house. You can't see it behind us. We have a window, but everywhere else there's, like, art, candles, and it's actually nice to be a human, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely, for sure, it totally does. With somebody like yourselves, both Mark and Lizzy, who live your lives on the road, very similar to where bands do when they tour, obviously your like your health and sanitation and things like that have to play a factor, especially when you're constantly going from different climates to different areas to weather, rain, and so on and so forth. Has something like this changed your perspective in any way going forward when the world does kind of become a little, like, less crazy and you're able to kind of regain that lifestyle? Has it allowed you to think kind of a little bit about the future, about how to always constantly protect yourselves? And then, Psycho, why don't you pick it up right after their answer?
Well, yes.
I'll let you say it.
Less shows, less travel, more antibacterial, and no, I mean, we're kind of joking. But to be honest with you, though, I think we did realize, like, we don't want to be on the road as much, because we're always going from this to that, and then the next one, and the next one, and, you know, each convention, obviously these things cost money. You know, I mean, that's no secret. So when it seemed at the time when we were like really in our busiest. I mean, the first year that we went out and just did everything that we could to try and get the name out there and make as much money as possible and this and that wasn't always the case, trust me. We did, I think, 30 something shows out of the year, and those are all driving, yes, and those are all obviously on weekends. So I mean that's 30 something weekends out of your life that you're just like,
who's driving?
Yeah, and not only on the week. I mean, it's a typically either a Thursday to Monday or a Wednesday to Tuesday ordeal, depending on where you're going.
And you get home, and you have 2 days to go to the next show.
Right.
And you're lucky if you get to go home for a week. If we were living in Salem, we would be home for 4 days, and we'd only buy food for 2 days, and then go back on the road. So this is the first, like, when we went out to go to the East Coast before the COVID really hit, we didn't have anything in the house. We had one roll of toilet paper. We had nothing in the cupboards, and we were like, because when we go on the road, we clean everything out like a band. Like, everything's cleaned out, sanitized. Come home, nothing. So we didn't know what we were coming home to. We just saw everyone in California being like, the shelves are bare, there's no food, there's nothing. And we were just like, what is happening? And it was very scary. Every day you just want to get closer and closer and closer to home. And we were in Arizona or New Mexico the night before we got home?
Arizona.
We were in Arizona, and a snowstorm hit, and all the freeways were shut, and I had a mental breakdown, and I was like, Trump closed everything, we're never getting home, we're stuck here. I knew it, and I yelled at him, and he was like, no, we will take the back roads, I will get you home. And that's what he did.
Oh.
Wow, we actually have someone knocking on our door. Is there donuts?
Thank you. No, it's Amazon.
Oh, Amazon. We moved to this gated community, and one of our neighbors brings us donuts. So we didn't know if there were donuts.
It's okay, you're fine. It's okay, you're fine. It's just the Amazon guy.
Sorry, guys. So it's Amazon.
No, it's only
That's right.
No,
it's just
Amazon, we want our check.
on TV.
Nerd stuff.
But I think, in summary, to answer your question, I think work smarter, not harder, is kind of the thing we learned from all of this.
That's a key.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. No, absolutely. Like health is key, and looking out for exactly what you need. Psycho, the floor is yours, my good dude.
So the question is, did you make apparel for men? Do you guys have, when you go to a school for design, or this came about to say, this is what I want to wear, this is what you should wear? How did the whole thing come about?
So it kind of cut out a little bit, but I think I got the gist of what you were asking. So to answer your question, like when we both started, like we met, she was living in North Hollywood, I was down here in San Diego. Like we both started on the West Coast, and then I'm from New Jersey originally. So we kind of found common ground in Salem after we kind of, yeah, I mean, there's a whole story here, but just to get back to what you were saying, I think like we just make the stuff that we like, that we want to wear, that we will wear, and of course everything, it is a business, of course, and you have to learn to be business minded, especially as you get down the road and you realize, hey, like this is my livelihood, I put so much time into this. But we kind of fell into it. I mean, we didn't know anything about it. I was a musician, and that's what I did for a long time as a living. And when we met, like before we met, I always had this idea in the back of my head, like, oh, it would be cool to do like this like horror. And and this kind of ties into like the music too, but I had this idea. I want to do this like zombie inspired, like just like creepy, whatever. And it never went anywhere. I mean, this was back in like 2008, I guess, 2007. I don't remember. And then when we met, it kind of was like, hey, like we both come from entertainment. We both want to do something else.
I always
And
wanted to do, like, I wanted to have a company, like, called, I wanted to do fashion before him, too, and I wanted to have this company called Hippie Love, where I wanted to do, like, hippie love stuff with the evil twist, and, Mark, when we first met, like, he had a t-shirt that he made for his music, where it was all these, like, pretty, like, zombie girls. And he had, like, all these ideas, and I had these ideas, and we were just laying in bed one night, and we just decided, you know what, we both love fashion, let's do it. And we came up with a name, like, your music, I'm horror, let's do rock and horror. And it's all been trial and error. I mean, you know, we come up with the ideas, he designs it on the computer, we sit down, we go through it, we learn to make screens. And the most important part of this is I remember Mark saying, I don't want to make clothes, and I know we want to make money, but he said, I don't want to make clothes just to make money. I don't want to just slap shit on things. I want to make clothes that I would wear. And I said the same. So everything that we make is something that we would wear. It's not something that we just put out just to make money. Like, you might not even know this shirt that we made years ago. We love pho soup. I don't know if you guys love pho. We made this shirt called Wanna Pho. And it's a big bowl of pho soup with chopsticks. We made it because we are obsessed with pho. Every state we go to, we try their pho. Some is good, some is not good, but we love pho. So everything we've
you
ever
forgot the
done,
most important part, the parenthesis CK.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay. He had to go
It was like a parody. It was just be
yes.
like, want to fuck, but it was fuck.
I was about the soup and he was about the up.
This is the thing, like when we exactly, but like when we started, like we were just like whatever, like we like this, like this is like a cool idea to us, whether everybody else hates it, like we don't care.
But we've learned to adapt.
Yeah, but we
keep our ideas.
We start, you know, when we were making things, and especially like more so years ago, and now like because we print and we design, we literally it's the two of us. This is it. There's nobody else that does anything. So we don't have as much time right now to just be like new. But you know, a few years back, we had that time to be like, hey, let's just try this. Like, we think it's funny. We think it's cool. Like, let's just throw it out there. If people want to buy it, great. If not, hey, guess what? We got a couple shirts to wear on our own. You know what I mean?
And now it's snowballed into a bigger thing that, honestly, when we first started out, I didn't think it was going to get this big. Like, I thought we were just going to make cool clothes for us to wear and if our friends wanted it. And then it just got, like, it became... as an artist, a business, which as an artist, you're kind of like, I want to do business, but there's that like border of like, you know, it's art and I'm not trying to work every day, but you got to work. So it's difficult, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Being able to create something and when people like it and they wear it and they post it and they tag us, I'm just like, I fucking love, sorry. Can I say the F word?
Sure can.
Sure. Don't worry, Typical Board cannot censor us. So
I fucking love it. Yeah.
It's just funny. It's like touching on what you just said. Like I remember sitting in your apartment in North Hollywood, and you know we had went.
Tell them about the thing we blew up.
Yeah.
We blew shit up on accident.
We, you know, in the very early, very, very early stages of this. I mean, like,
it was bad.
Within a couple months of meeting each other, you know, we had tried all these different things, and we didn't know what we're doing. I mean, now like I'll take a liberty and call us professionals if you want to say that, but you know, I remember going to like Joanne Fabrics and Michaels and Home Depot, getting these like 500-watt lights, and it was like, oh, like
to grow weed.
No, it wasn't to grow weed. No, we're not smart enough to grow weed. You know, it was like, take this little stencil thingy and dab this on the T-shirt, then put this light over it and put some glass over it, and you'll have a T-shirt design. I mean, this is before it was rock and horror, and we had this light, this I don't know, it was a 500 watt light, whatever it may have been, in her kitchen / dining room in her apartment in North Hollywood, and we're trying to make this T-shirt. We have this light on it, and all of a sudden, like it's like on the table like this, the glass just shatters everywhere. It just got too hot. We had no idea what we were doing, and she made me a pair of like rock and roll jeans, all the patches, some stitching, this and that. But it was nothing.
It was nothing like what we're doing. What we're doing now, and we also flooded a house.
And I'm just saying because we had no idea what we were doing.
We ran too much water. We flooded. We set off fire alarms. I mean, we've done everything you can imagine. He's froze to death when we first started too. When we were on the East Coast, and he was, when you make a screen, it's like making film. So he'd have to go out in the dark, and it was in the winter. It was like below zero, and he's out there with the hose as much as he can. He would come back in with icicles hanging off him, and I would put my body to warm him up. Like the stuff that we've gone through just to make a shirt, one shirt. We were like so proud of ourselves, and now we've lost, like what you guys just said, like makes us remember where we come from, because now we forget how hard we worked. I mean, we still work hard, but you forget like all the drama that, like when you're learning to make something, like you learn how to do it. Like when you first start out, it's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And then like, as you go, you learn shortcuts. You learn, I could do this. I could do this. I don't need this. This is stupid. Like I could do it my way. You learn your way. And when we learned our way, it became easier. Like we had to do so many trials and error, and we forget that. And sometimes we look at each other and be like, do you remember that time we blew shit up? Do you remember that time when we flooded your parents' house? Do you remember that time when like you were frozen to death, almost on the verge of going to the hospital? Do you remember that time a bird hit our window and blew our windshield out on the way to a show?
How could I forget?
All these things. Do you remember when we were in a monsoon with water up to our like knees, holding the tent, and the guy coming to us at a show? Where was this? Rock USA?
That was Rock USA.
Rock USA saying, Manson and Zombie are canceled, but you guys need to take cover because you guys are going to basically die. And we're just like, this is what we do for art. It's like crazy. And what you guys just did like reminds us. So we thank you guys for reminding us our roots. And I think that's the most important thing is no matter if you're a band, if you're an actress, actor, whatever you are, just remember your roots. Remember how you got there.
Absolutely. No, 100%.
You're here for a reason. You guys got here for a reason.
No, without a doubt. And that is also something that's never been lost on this show. I mean, me and the mates, we talk about it constantly. We communicate with each other, and we look at each other as a brotherhood. Like, it's every opinion matters and all that kind of stuff. And it's, just like you guys will be and do, we're going to be able, when we get up, God willing, to 500 episodes, be like, dude, remember some of those janky early episodes, but we still knew we had something? It's going to be kind of cool.
How long you guys been doing this for now? Like how many years?
6 months. You guys are episode 26.
Oh, wow.
26. Nice.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Nice.
It almost seems fitting that, of course, there would be a 6 in your guys' episode. Jason, why don't you take it away, brother?
So, Mark and Lizzy, when did you realize that you basically made it with your business, and this is the road that you're going to take? And then what did you do once you realized that?
The fact that you just said we made it means I love you and I would like to hug you.
I don't know, did we? I think we both just had a big inhale right now.
You just look at each other like,
well, usually most businesses, it's like a 3-year gracing period. But you've been around a while, so that's the initial first steps.
Just personally, I mean, the two of us are going on our 7-year anniversary. We my birthday is September 17th, and that was when we first met in person, and then we made it like official like a month later. So it's just, it's crazy because, you know, being together for so long and then having this idea that, you know, we both kind of put into action almost simultaneously as meeting and developing a relationship. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, like, are we successful? I don't know. Like, I'm just like typically burn out all the time.
I think we are, because if you can be a couple and have a business and not murder each other,
I think that's like the biggest success story.
I think that's the success story. Like, we still like each other. Like, you know, what's crazy is, I don't want to be loud, we have a lot of neighbors around us that argue because they're in quarantine, and like, we just drink and watch movies and listen to our records, and we're cool as fuck, like Liam Gallagher. We don't care. We go to the pool, we walk, we do our shit, we eat, we grill. Like, we're each other's best friends, and I think, like, that, and we get to create art, like, and you get to create music, you know, we're lucky.
Yeah, I mean,
we're really lucky.
And everything you just said is very true. To be a little more direct with your question, and we're gonna go off on a tangent every time you ask something.
Just bring us around.
I think when we first started doing conventions, and you know, we had no idea what to expect. Our first convention was Monster Mania. I think it was July into August 2015, whatever the summer show was. No clue what we were doing. I didn't even know about horror conventions. I knew nothing about it. I was just like, what, you know, like, doing a music thing, and then we learned how to print, and we're doing this company. We have an online business, and I think Janet was the one that was like, oh, hey, like, we should do this. Like, I think, you know, because she knew about like Monster Palooza. She signed at Monster Palooza out here, and we found Monster Mania, and we were lucky enough to get a booking for that show. And I remember booking that like in June. This was before Monster Mania was as big and successful as it is now, and the vendor spots weren't selling out as quick. So we booked it essentially last minute, and you know, we had one table. We were in the little side room. We didn't know what we were doing. Literally no clue. Like, we had just bought grid wall. We were like, how do you set this up? We had little legs for it. We didn't know you could zip tie it at the time. I mean, we knew nothing. Even then,
it's different when you sign.
2 years.
When you play music.
2 years essentially after we started. We knew nothing about this world of conventions and selling in person essentially. And you know, we had our Friday night, and like we had people come out that like followed us from online, and they bought stuff, and they were like chatting us up. They were giving us shots and you know, just remember when like Corey came down from New York on Sunday, and like it was just like, we were like, whoa, what is going on? Like, people actually like this. They want to come buy it.
We couldn't believe
and you know, it was a good weekend, especially for what it was for us being new. And so I mean, to answer your question, I think that might have been like, hey, like maybe we're actually onto something. Like, we're not just living in this like online bubble of, hey, go buy our stuff. Like, hey, you know us from this or that. Like, we made some shirts, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, that's how it was. Like, we had people that I knew, that you knew, that were like, oh yeah, I'll support you guys. But it was like, what are we even doing? Like, we didn't even know what we're doing right now.
And then other people that didn't know us came and started buying, and we were just kind of like, holy shit, people like our stuff other than us. And I think it like blew our minds, and we were like, and we just wanted to create. It's almost like a drug. You just want to keep creating, and we kept creating, and they kept wanting more, and more chicks were wearing our stuff, and dudes were wearing our stuff, and they were just, and it just kept getting better and better, and we just like kept growing, and we started getting, instead of one table at shows, 2 tables. We started going on the road, and it just became an addiction. But in turn, you learn going on the road every weekend isn't always the most positive thing. You need downtime. You need reconstruction time to reevaluate and recreate.
Like 6 months
I
downtime.
think like the second half and the most recent answer to this question, and of course, like I'm kind of joking, but like we've had a couple people in this last week send us these links to this company in which I researched. Apparently, in China, is like ripping off our designs and selling them for obviously a lower price, and this is
way lower price.
You know,
it's like using our pictures too.
You know what they say about that?
Modeling pictures. I think it's lifetimeism.com. Don't buy from them. That's not us. And I looked it up, and you know, it's some company in like Hong Kong, but it's like our designs. Like one of the shirts was, the Everyday's Halloween dress was like they used her picture, and the other one was like the Home Sweet Home Salem tee, but it was like some other girl wearing it, and these like people are like texting it to us or like sending it to us on
Instagram, Facebook.
I almost said AOL Instant Messenger. I'm dating myself. Facebook Messenger, and I'm like, wow, well, that sucks, but I don't know. I guess we're doing something right. Like, I don't know, you know.
Because every time it gets up spooky season, it gets weird. But it's like all these people are taking our designs and literally putting them on their shirts and selling. And we're just like, as much as we're angry, we're almost flattered. It's like, well, I guess our shit's good enough for people to sell.
If you see that shit, don't buy it. Buy it from us.
Yeah,
but,
buy it from us. It's actually.
It's like that saying. Imitation is the best form of flattery.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
but hey, I got a really quick question for you too. Do you have a light that you could shine on you guys?
Yeah.
Are we getting dark?
Yeah, I think it looks light out, but I think the
Here, well, let's start with this and see if this helps.
You sit down. Does that help?
Is that any better? Or is it just blown out?
From the outside? No.
Yeah, no good.
From the other angle.
Go grab a light.
That's how we know this is live TV.
Yeah, she'll take care of it.
But the other thing that if anybody could talk the merch, I guess I can chime in when it comes to that topic about Mark and Lizzy being ripped off, is when you do buy from them, not only are you buying from the originators and the creators of those images, but the fact of the matter is you are paying for quality. That's something I can truly vouch for. I can't, I don't know how they're making their shit, and I don't fucking care either. But you are definitely going to be getting, something made correctly by them. And they spoke on it earlier. There's always going to be some growing pains when it comes to creating, designing, and figuring out how to get images to stick correctly, show up correctly, these colors, this, that, fading, blah, blah, blah. But, you are definitely going to be getting, quality products that will last.
And it's made here in America.
Sorry. She's working on it. She's busting out the ring light. We got everything going on.
The ring light's what I use too.
I have a question. Who's the cat behind you?
Oh, that's Clyde. Clyde, say hi. He's very skittish and he's very concerned that people are talking in his living room.
Sorry, Clyde.
He'll be all right. Clyde, say hello. You're okay.
5.
Oh, nice.
I know, it's a little bright, huh?
There you go.
We had Psycho Steve's cat make an appearance.
Yeah, maybe
earlier.
Up in there.
My cat.
That kid around.
How's that?
Okay. Here, I'll do it.
All right. Sorry, we're completely not technical with any of this stuff.
Nah, it's totally cool. When we get all squared up, Angel, why don't you take it away with yourself and the fans, bro?
Hey, it's rock and roll.
Fine.
That's the cool thing about rock and roll. It's not petty and perfect, except for Psycho Steve's hair. Just want to say hi to the fans. Hola, Star Peters. Hello, Jackie. Thank you for watching. Jennifer, Mickey Twist, thank you all for watching. I definitely got a question from Bridget Sullivan. She wants to know, does your apparel include plus sizes?
It does, and it can. Whatever's listed on our website is typically like what we keep stock of or whatever. But since we do our own printing, we can always work with anybody on sizing and styles. Even like we get people that are like, hey, like I'd really like this on a unisex tank, not a women's tank, or vice versa. And we can do that, and we can print that for you. So we're pretty flexible with any of that stuff. But typically, yes, like we do offer multiple sizes in all ranges.
And I have a question. How do you manage your business relationship and your personal relationship? Because you seem to, like I said, doing it for 7 years, you haven't killed each other. You're not on the first 48 or any of those shows. So how do you manage to do that?
I want to know what you're gonna say.
I think it starts with just being good to each other in general, and kind of, especially me. She's very sensitive. We're not going to sugarcoat anything here.
I am very sensitive.
She's very sensitive. So it took me like a little bit of time to realize, like, hey, like,
She's a girl.
Well, yes, you're a girl.
Super girl.
But maybe just like, if like the business end starts stressing us out, maybe we just take a break from it for a second. And I don't mean like walk away. I just mean like we take a second and,
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. Most recently, like especially with all the coronavirus and this and that, we've been making more time to do things together. Whereas like, 5 months ago, we were working like 5 days a week, printing in the garage. But now we're kind of consolidating our time into like, I'd rather just print like 3 days a week and do a long ass day, and then have the other 4 we go to the beach, we go for a walk, we just most recently we went down to the Sunset Cliffs and Ocean Beach, and we just took that time to walk, to appreciate nature, the outdoors, the nice weather. And I think that helps. Like I've definitely noticed like having more time for us and not being on the road, that we reconnected, get along better. Not that we don't get along, but
I mean, it gets hard when you're on the road every week and you have a deadline. You have to, like we would do a show and we would do inventory on Sunday and be like, okay, we're sold out of this, and then he would reorder the blanks. And then Monday or Tuesday, we have to hurry up and print. You got to like slam everything into printing, make custom stuff, and then get back on the road. We were never going on dates. We were never really eating together. Sometimes he would be over printing, or I'd be sewing, or he'd be like at the end of the night after printing and after I showered, I'd be sewing and he's working on music. So we didn't have that connection. It was a connection, but we didn't have that how we have now, where it's like we started being like, we're going to make time for each other. This is when we work, this is when we have our business meetings, and this is when we're going to, go to dinner and do things. So,
and like what you just said
like
too, like, and you said business meetings, and that kind of made me think about something. We do most of our talks about business in 3 places. Most recently, when we go our complex, we have a community pool. We live in like a community residence area, whatever. So there's a community pool, and with all the coronavirus, our community has, whether you agree with it or not, decided to limit the pool time for residents to like 1 hour a day for each household. And there's a sign-up sheet and all this stupid shit that you have to do to go to the pool. But we use that time to unwind, but that's also when we come up with our best ideas. So we're like relaxing, we're not doing business, but because we're not either like forced into the garage to print or forced into
a meeting,
doing this or that or booking shows or whatever it may be, then the ideas come out, then it's easier for us. And I think
flow.
Right, that kind of translates to also our personal, that's our personal time, but we're also like we can't let this go. You know what I mean? Like we can't let Rockin' Hard just it doesn't get shut off. You know what I mean?
We'll be
like
on our walks, we'll be doing yoga, or we'll be in the pool, and I'll be like this, and you'd be like, yeah, let's do that.
Right. I mean, and I think just most recently,
and same thing with music.
What did we just do? The glorious morning makes me sick mug. Like, there she is drinking her wine out of it.
The glorious morning makes me sick.
How did you come up with that one? With the slogan. That was gonna be my next question.
I'm a hocus pocus. So anything hocus pocus, I'm like shoving down his throat.
Yeah, and like honestly, like we were in the pool the other day, and we were just like, hey, that would be really cool to put on a mug. Maybe not a shirt, but a mug. So people drink coffee in the morning, obviously, whatever. This one. Not a morning person.
I'm grumpy in the morning,
whatsoever.
But I'm fun at night.
Yeah. So it's all of this has just become part of our daily life, obviously. And like I said, there's no off button. But I think having that downtime together, which also kind of revitalizes what our ideas going forward may be, helps a lot with just keeping it all together. Because again, there's no off button. It's we wake up and I roll over and I look at my phone. I'm like, all right, we got to respond to these emails, this and that. You know what I mean? It's on the minute we both wake up, but we just kind of balance it with a little bit of leisure. And I feel guilty saying that because I feel like people are always expecting us to. It's like, hey, where's my stuff? Hey, sent you an email. I sent you an Instagram message, but
like we feel bad. Like I love bubble baths, so if I take a bubble bath, it's an hour bath. The bath salts, the bubbles, the luxury, and I feel bad that I'm not stitching, or I feel bad that we're not creating. But like you have to take an hour to shower, or 20 minutes to have a dinner, or a 15-minute walk. You have to find those balances, because when you don't, it's when you start. And when we're always on the road, we fought a lot. It was just that we were connected in a way, but like we were disconnected because we weren't having date nights and we weren't taking the time, because it was all like work. And now we sit and we go to the beach and we sit at the beach and eat a poke bowl. And it's like, to us, that's like the best date ever, when everybody else is going to fancy dinners. Just going and sitting on the beach eating a poke bowl to us is like romantic. And and then we go back and we make some shirts and we make some vests and we just create. He makes music. And like, I love the schedule now, because we get up in the morning. He gets up before me because our cat crosses back for food. So he'll be up, 6 o'clock in the morning. And he'll go make his coffee and stuff, and then I'll come around about 8-ish, if I feel like it, sometimes 9. Yeah. And I like that he gets to go to his beat laboratory, make his music, and then I get to clean or like do something. Like, we have a life, and I enjoy listening to him create music. He plays drums, he plays bass, he plays guitar, he plays the piano, the organ, the harmonica, sings, writes, and it's funny because sometimes he'll be playing a beat and I'll be cleaning to it, and then if he stops, I'm like, you gotta keep going, because I have OCD like crazy, so I'll be scrubbing to and if he stops, I'm like, what are you doing? So I I'm enjoying listening to him create, and I always go like, do you have a name for this song? And I know musicians are like, don't want to tell you, don't want to be this, but like, I enjoy listening to, I feel like I get privileged listening to him make stuff for people because I hear it first. I hear the raw, the guitar, the bass, the drum. I hear him yelling. I hear him screaming.
The terrible vocals being sung over and over and over and over
enjoy
again.
It because my OCD is like the more he does it over, I get into it, and then when he goes to the next one, I'm like, okay, now I gotta start over. But I know all his lyrics and I know everything. And if he were to go on stage and get a word wrong, I would throw my water bottle at him like, motherfucker, you forgot that word. Sorry. Because I know lyrics.
True.
I'll murder him on stage. That's our psycho life.
But yeah,
we're
just,
pretty boring.
we
do music and make clothes, and that's what we do.
Again, we're very long-winded when you ask questions.
Sorry.
No, it's awesome to hear these stories.
It's just finding that balance, and I think we're working on it, and I think we're finding that more so now. I mean, there's been a lot of, for us, and nobody take this the wrong way, good things to come out of this pandemic.
No, you look
simply because we've just really had time to reassess and reevaluate. And it's like, hey, like, we're home. Like, we're not going on the road.
You had to make the best of it.
You know, we're going to hustle. We're going to work hard.
You have to know about our gymming.
What? We're going to do a lot of yoga.
They took our gym away, so we learned yoga. I mean,
it's just been like total
with our hand and this up and way over here, like crazy people. Like, we would go to the gym every morning, and now we're learning yoga and breathing because there's no gym. So we're doing online yoga and planking, and Mark's laying on our ottoman that we're sitting on, lifting up kettlebells and stuff. He's like a lifter.
We're just adapting.
You're different ways.
And I think we said that from the beginning. It's like a good time to adapt, and
you have to adapt.
You know, fortunately for us, we have an online business. You know what I mean? We weren't just a retail store or whatever. So this we had an upper hand in that sense, having the online business, but at the same time, it's just been like a totally different change of life as well, and just really getting our shit together and tightening it up, so to speak, as a business and as a couple. And here's Clyde. Hey, buddy. He's a good boy. He's very skittish and scared, though.
No, but he seems to like everybody.
You okay.
He's like, there's 4 in my house.
No, but it definitely, it makes sense, you know, and it's also important to, like, you know, keep all of that in mind when it comes to, like, you know, separating, you know, business from pleasure, you know, private from public and all that kind of stuff. Right. I'm going to take a quick second just to speak out to a couple of our endorsements and our sponsors that I want to thank right quick. But Mark and Liz, can you guys just scoot a little closer to each other?
Yeah.
Pretend you like each other.
Awesome. Jason, how does that look, brother?
That was the first kiss on the Metal Summit.
Right, yep. Absolutely. It's our first Metal Summit kiss, only our second female guest, so it's all good. Second.
First is the worst, second is the best. Just kidding.
So I want to take a quick second to thank Twisted Vines, Horror Decor out of Rhode Island, Bradley Entertainment, Aces and Eights skateboards, and Levy Metal Enterprises custom guitars and stage props for you know, looking out for us, you know, backing us, you know, just kind of giving us some love. You know, we appreciate you guys just like you appreciate us. Anybody out there watching the show who's interested in getting involved with us, reach out to Steve, Angel, Jason, or myself, or you can message the page directly, and we're happy to talk with everybody about it. You know, like, we literally love the world and love building things up as we build. So we don't You know, we don't shy away from anybody. You know, even if you don't feel like you can relate, message us anyway, and we'll discuss. You know, it's all good. So the next question that I was going to ask, I was actually going to gear towards you, Lizzy, but I'm going to hold that till my next time around because you segued really well into something else that I wanted to bring up. And you know, Mark, you being a musician, you doing music so long, but you also do have a solo band under a band title, and you also recently released a new single called Disorder.
Right.
So why don't you talk a little bit about your music, about Disorder, and just about your band Blood Joint in general, and what your vision was for you creating?
So, in terms of Blood Joint, it's yeah, it's the whole concept of Blood Joint has been around for a long time. 2012, and a couple of the songs, maybe I don't know. I think "Need You Right Now" was one of the first ones that I recorded, maybe not so well as the newer version back in like 2012 or whatever. But it's always kind of been a thing, and that's always just kind of been like my little project that I've worked on over the years. There's been years where it hasn't done anything, and then more so in the later years, more recently, I've been trying to make it more active again. It's a balance with, you know, work and everything. But Blood Joint as a name started with me and my friends in New York City. We early 20s went to New York City. We rented a hotel room. We stayed the night. We had partied. Blah blah blah. At some point, the room ended up getting trashed. Everybody's hammered, this and that. I know this sounds like the cliche, whatever, but it is what it is. We were all smoking weed in the room. My friend Barrett, I'm going to give him the credit for this. Someone, I believe it might have been me, I don't remember, cut their lip, and we're smoking, and there's blood all over the joint. And he goes, "Blood Joint." And I was like, that's a good fucking name for a band. And that's how the whole idea and concept came, and then it just sat there in my head doing nothing for a while. And then, you know, again, started to make music with it, put some songs out under the name. Didn't really do much for a while, and then lately I'm just like, you know what, like, I'm not getting any younger, might as well just like push this and put it out. And it's just, you know, it's all me, just doing everything. Eventually I'd like to do some gigs with it, do some shows. But
Can I say one thing?
yeah, go ahead.
I think Salem, like living in Salem, actually inspired him because he put out a song called "The Witching Hour." Is amazing. October Lust. I mean, you started writing you were always writing dark, but like those things, like every house that we lived in, you created a song at that house.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool to like hear that. So, and then Disorder was here. So it was Witching Hours and Anna's, October Lust. What did you do in the middle house?
Everything's kind of been like Blood for Blood was the first video that we did, and we recorded that I think pretty much mostly in Salem.
It was all in Salem, yeah.
That was a song that I started writing out here in like 2015 or 14, whatever it was.
Called Just Incredible. I don't know if you guys know a lot about wrestling. ECW, WWF, WWE. Just Incredible is our friend. He wanted Mark to write him a song, and Mark wrote Blood for Just Incredible.
It just kind of, you know, in terms of like the writing process, it's not like a set theme. It's not a set story. To be honest with you, nothing's about anything. It's just the words that come into my head. Even, you know, last night, just talk about like the writing process. I have a new song that I'm doing. It's not going to be a Blood Joint song. It's going to be a Mark Hall solo project, whatever song that hasn't even made it to Spotify yet. Something new I'm going to do. And that was just like a couple guitar riffs that I put down, put some drums and bass over it, looped it on Logic, and I put it on my phone. I was driving to a band rehearsal last night for another band that I play with out here. And I just looped that those riffs in the car, and I started singing to it, just humming melodies, whatever it may be. And as of this morning, I have pretty much half a song around it. So it's just
weirdo.
Yeah, there's not like, I don't like sit and like write these like lyrics. They're not like from the heart, so to speak. I mean, they are because
very hard.
You know, it's. I look at it as like a painting. You know what I mean? Like I'm painting words. And I've had people ask me. They say, well, "What's Blood for Blood about?" And I'm like, I don't know what it's about. It's whatever you want it to be about. You know what I mean? The words are the paint, and it's strewn about however you want to decipher it.
It's very hard being a girlfriend of a musician, being like, what is this about? Is it about me?
Right,
like,
exactly.
I'm like, write me a love song, and he's just like, I just put words out, and this is what they mean, and I'm like, well, this one said this.
You know, and that might not be how everybody does it, but it's what works for me. And now, obviously, like songs like October Lust, like
I love that one.
Yes, like, you know, and again, personally, there of course is a personal aspect to it, but it's not like these are like deep, heartfelt lyrics that are, you know what I mean? Like I'm not just like pouring my heart onto the page. I'm
not Taylor Swift
creating. Well, I don't think she is either, but I want to create something that people can relate to, and I want to make it artistic, and I want to use, excuse me, the words as, like I said, like to paint that picture, and people can turn it into whatever they want it to be. You know what I mean? It's kind of whatever strikes me at the time. In terms of Disorder, that was a song that I literally just came up with that picking guitar riff, and that was like the main riff. And I had that, I know I wrote that riff when we were living in the second house we lived in Salem. And I think probably most of the song was written, and that was like 2017, 18. And then I just finally got to recording it and finalizing the lyrics. I know like the bridge of that song, I kind of just did it upstairs, like on the fly. I just wrote the words at that time. And, you know, I really appreciate that you dig it. But I wish I could tell you a story about it, but I just don't have one. It's just kind of what comes into my head and what comes out of my mouth. And most of the times that I write a lyric, it's just, I just sing it on the fly. And I might sing it a million times until I hear something I like, but that's kind of the process, and that's kind of how it goes.
I'm going to spill a secret. Can I spill a secret?
We would love you to.
All right. He covered one of my most, he's going to hate me.
No, I actually told Jay about this already.
Jay. He covered one of my most favorite songs, Dressed to Suppress by Metric. And he made the song better than the original band. And when I listened to it with my headphones, I was like, holy shit, this sounds better. And he's like, no. I'm like, this sounds better than the original. I'm like, they're going to hate you. But it's so amazing, and he has a gift, and it's just like, you know, sometimes you just put those headphones on and you just get lost in the music. Like, you need that. Like, music you get lost into. And when I'm at the gym, October Lust, nonstop. Witching Hour, nonstop. Disorder, nonstop. I have his raw ones of Dressed to Suppress. I just love it. And it's just like hearing his voice, like when you're on the treadmill. Well, when I used to be on the treadmill, you know, I would just like pump it up. He's like my Marilyn Manson, if that makes sense.
Wow.
For sure. Absolutely. And actually,
he's like Marilyn Manson, and if Tom Petty had sex and made him. I love Tom.
That's amazing. Sure. And actually, Lizzy, it was funny because you and I were having some fun on Facebook not that long ago, literally just like bouncing the October Lust lyrics back off of each other on one of your posts and stuff like that.
Oh, you love October just like me, yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. It's totally killer. But no, I appreciate it, Mark. I appreciate you talking about, your music and the band and the ideas a little bit more in depth. I mean, you and I have talked, privately before about it, and we'll
Right.
talk more, I'm sure. But it's cool to be able to talk about it because this show is about our guests, and that stuff has value, man. And it's important for you to get to talk it and put it out to new people that haven't necessarily heard it yet.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just like coming up with the theme of the song, the idea, and then just like whatever happens from there is whatever happens. If that makes any bit of sense.
Totally, 100%. Psycho Steve, let's bring you in for your next one, my dude.
I'm still trying to wrap this around my head about Tom Petty and Marilyn Manson kind of things. Okay, sorry. All right. All right. So I did do a little stroll through the website and everything, and you guys are very creative, and I really like the stuff. So I am going to be ordering something. The question is, besides yourself, besides Jay, because Jay's our rock star, of course, I have the perfect face for radio. But anyway, the question I have is that any well-known musician that we would know, where's your swag?
Yes. John Five. Tommy London. Carla Harvey. Adam Braven from Sean's Revenge.
Diego
from
Devil Driver. I knew him from this band that we don't want to talk about back in LA in 2009. But Diego's a good friend of ours. I heard you guys talking about him earlier.
Sonny.
I don't.
No, Sonny's cool.
I don't know if they're gonna know White Pulp, but our boy Sonny from White Pulp.
You gotta listen to White Pulp.
What if you like that Nine Inch Nails type stuff? Check out White Pulp. I want to get Sonny, our boy in Italy right now. He's kind of bounces between LA and not sure exactly where in Italy, but he has a band called White Pulp, and I want to give a shout out to that. It's very Nine Inch Nails, electronic goth rock.
Amazing.
You guys, I'm sure, would dig it.
Also, Bill Moseley, Where's Our Stuff? Todd Farmer, Kane Hodder. Who else?
I don't know. I mean,
what's her face? That PJ doesn't like. Sorry.
Who?
Rita?
We're gonna let this one go.
Oh, let that one go.
Okay.
Friend
Right on.
To get along with. He used to be in a band with her. Inside story, can't talk about. Sorry. Anyways, what else?
Anywho, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's all people that we've come in contact with over the years, and just been friendly with, that have been cool enough to support us, and appreciate what we do, and like it enough to want to wear it. You know what I mean? So, and that we truly appreciate that.
Okay. Would you be opposed to making a Metal Summit shirt for us?
Not at all.
Totally make it.
Not opposed at all.
Cool.
Right on.
All right. Because we're thinking about doing some merch for us, not just for us as the hosts, of course, but for our fans and stuff like that.
Sure.
Give me that one shirt.
Cool. All right. Game on.
Right on. No, that's totally awesome. Jason, take it away, bro.
So I have a question for you, Lizzy. How do I word this? Your name, where did it come from? And because I know that there's another Lizzy Borden, not around anymore, but where did you come up with that name? Why that name, if you don't mind my asking?
I don't mind. I just love Lizzy Borden, the original, and there was just something about her that I felt connected. And I decided when I got into entertainment, when you pick a stage name, I picked Lizzy Borden, and I spelled it Lizzy instead of Lizzie. And I just kind of came from there, and I always had an axe, and I always, I love horror, so like all my like burlesque shows were always horror. My wrestling, everything was just horror related. It just felt connected, and I always wanted to stay at her bed and breakfast, and nobody ever wanted to go with me or take me. And he surprised me when we first met. One of our first getaways was being at the Lizzy Borden bed and breakfast, and we had the whole house to ourselves, and it was like the most amazing. I mean, obviously we had sex in every room, and where everyone got murdered in, if I could say that. Sorry, but it was a dream come true, and we're very good friends with the person who owns it, Leanne. I knew her before, and so I think what we should do is all of us should go to Lizzy Borden Bed and Breakfast and do a seance on your radio show.
We can make that a thing.
I think we should all do that.
Road trip.
Lizzy, you've got the perfect Ouija board for that.
Yeah. So it was just somebody. I mean, I have her gravestone. I have, everything I collect. Jay, same way. There's just something about Lizzy that I connected. She loves cats. When she passed away, she gave all her money to cats. We have a cat that's more beautiful than anybody could ever be. So, she's just a good person. She's just a good person. Yeah.
That's totally awesome. It's such a good story. Yeah. Angel, how are you doing up there, my friend? How are the Summoners?
Good. Just want to say hi to a couple more fans. Ron, thanks for watching. Jackie, just a couple of comments. Mickey Twist, Blood for Blood has a George Becker video recording vibe. And Star Peters says, sorry the moon made me do it, French cut shirt, going to be ordering it. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
My question is, gosh, I had the question in my mind and then it just kind of went away, but I freaking had it in my mind.
Lizzy Borden, sit out.
It's all good. Angel, do you want me to jump in, bud, and give you a second?
Yeah, jump in.
No worries, man. It's all good. So, Lizzy, I'll steer this back to you because I met you guys. Honestly, I think at that first Monster Mania.
We both remember because we talk about the first day we met you.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I love you. I love you guys. You know how much you mean to me. So here's the speedy version of a story I've told to people before. Just kind of what also allowed me to kind of recognize you was the first time I met you. I was there with my then current, and it was all good and doing shopping because I saw the display and I loved your stuff and I was like, oh, I like this, I like that. I remember leaving that thinking to myself, they're so cool, but I know her from somewhere and I couldn't put my finger quite on it, but I definitely knew it wasn't like a passing thing. I knew I truly knew you from somewhere. And then like 6 months later, it was the next MMC and I met you guys and you had all new stuff, included your Lizzy t-shirt. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. I was like, I'm going to buy that and that and that and that, and I'm definitely going to buy that. Anyway, me and Mark were kind of standing off to the side after I'd made my purchases and you were interacting with the fans. And I was like, I love your Lizzy shirt. Who did the artwork for it? Because I just think it's a great image. And Mark was just like, you know what? She did it. It's like, that's her. That's her brand. That's, her personality. That's, so we just used her. That's where it all clicked. And I realized that the reason that I knew you is, like you had mentioned, I, like you, follow anything that's involved with Lizzy Borden. So I followed you in wrestling. And that was what I recognized you from. So I'm kind of basing this question for Rock and Horror based off of that. Like, from your time in entertainment, not only doing something as physical as wrestling, but also where a persona really is everything involved in that. Is there anything that you learned from your time in performing wrestling and working on a character like that translated over to the business side that aids you or maybe even makes things a little more difficult?
It's something that both of us talk about. There's two parts that there is a difficultness because him being a musician, he gets to go on stage, he gets to plug in, he gets to play. very, very easy. Me, I get to walk out to the ring, I wrestle, I do my gimmick, I do my spiel, or I'm in a horror movie or I'm modeling, or I'm doing a signing. Like, you have handlers, you have people. It was very difficult for us at first to transition into being behind the table selling our merch and taking the money, because normally you have people that handle that for you. You just get to show up being the superstar, and you get to be, hi, how are you? Take a picture, sign an autograph, hold a kid, do your shit, go home. It was very hard having people go, $20 for a shirt, and arguing with you. And it was very humbling, because it was your art that you're selling, not just yourself. I mean, it's different being a performer than selling what you make. It's totally different. But I will say, when I see somebody walk by wearing our shirt and they're like, yes, I wear this on, they're wearing our art. And that makes me like so happy. Like, it's just like the most amazing feeling. It makes him feel amazing too, because it's different. Like, you can watch us wrestling, you can listen to our music, but you're wearing something that we made on your body. You chose to wear that on your body. You are a walking billboard. You're a walking piece of art. You are wearing art. And I think that's so amazing that you chose to buy that to wear that day. And that's just how I feel. It may sound lame, but it's really magical to see that. It really is.
Absolutely. Was when it came to having to transition from the physicality of wrestling, as well as then also doing things like modeling and film, just talk about maybe some different things you had to either learn or that you were able to just kind of like, shed away as well, because obviously with movie acting, especially in horror, there definitely can be and often is a physicality that comes with that. So I can imagine that being not too far off from your wrestling career versus something like modeling, as well as being at the conventions, where you can be a little bit more visual with yourself, just being in people's faces, so to speak.
I will say this. There's two things. Being in wrestling, people either one think that I'm going to be aggressive because of my name and because I come from wrestling. They think I'm going to like roar, and then they're like scared of me. And then there's also people like the Burge's daughter that wanted me to put them through a table. I'm like, I can't put you through a table at a horror convention. I will go to hell. Like, are you nuts? Like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And second, I think you learn, like, when you're out there and you're in a movie and you're doing things, like, you have buffers and you have roles and you have all this. It's very humbling that you have to learn to talk to people. Like, I always get to be in like a role. Like, I'm either modeling, I'm either wrestling, or I'm either in a movie. I'm never sitting there really talking to people. You have meet and greets here and there, but you have a handler. A handler that's like, this is the first time being at our booth all day long. Him too, being like, because he could just, if he didn't want to talk to people, he could just go, I have to go tune my bass or guitar. He could go up on stage and walk away. This is the first time that you have to really connect with people, and you have to be human. You can't walk in with the ego. If you walk in with the ego, nobody's going to come by from you. You have to be you. And when you're an actress, actor, musician, and you perform on stage, it's very hard it's almost like ripping your soul out to be you, because you're giving a personal piece of you to those people. It's not a role that you're playing on stage as a musician or an actress as a wrestler, but you're going out there and you're like, hi, Jay, how are you today? And you're having that human conversation. And it's something that, like, I never had before. He never had, and it was different. And you have to reset your mind. And as crazy as people could be watching this, be like, I don't understand. That's how I live. When all you do is entertain every day, and you have to go out, and now you're like selling a brand, it's totally different. It's totally different, and it's very exposing, and people take advantage of you and of your niceness and things, and you learn like you can't be so open and stuff, but it's very exposing of your soul. It's almost like being naked.
Sure.
Like, just feel naked at a show. Because
Yeah.
anybody could come up and say anything to you. You don't have that wall of a stage. You don't have that barrier of the bodyguards. You don't have that barrier. Like if he's on stage, he doesn't have his bodyguards where he's up a high on stage, or I don't have the wrestling ring to, you're out there with a table between you and people being like, what's this shirt mean? And you're just like, yeah, me the shirt. If that makes sense.
No, for sure. And it definitely makes sense. And, there definitely is a certain amount of like, just about a vulnerability that's going to come along with it, because it's pretty much exactly the way you put it. You've got a certain image, a certain look in wrestling that come with a certain degree of fandom, just like music does, stuff that Mark has had to deal with, and stuff that other, bands have had to deal with as well. So yeah, where you definitely have, a table in front of you that's only going to be so much to stop a person, where you had real distance and other people just around that was their job. There definitely is a certain amount of vulnerability that comes with it. But from my experience, I've never seen you guys be mean or rude to anybody. I'm sure you get the same over and over questions that get you every now and then. But I've watched you be like genuine when it comes to stuff, and I think that's really what it comes down to.
I don't think any question ever bothers us except for one, and this is the one question: do you guys sell T-shirts? Because you see our display, and we fold them all over so you don't see the arms, and people are like, you guys sell T-shirts? And we're just like, all T-shirts is the display. So that's the only question that like blows our mind. That like we sit there and look at each other like, what are we doing wrong after 7 years? But that's it.
For sure. So we got disconnected from Psycho Steve, but it looks like we're just about bringing him back in. But Angel, are you doing well, brother? Did you get back on track?
Yeah, my question was, what is the toughest thing about being in the industry with clothing and apparels?
Again, like just what we were saying before, like, apparently we have these, our friends of ours sending us these screenshots from Facebook ads or whatever. Oh, this company's, stealing your designs, this and that. I mean, that's one thing. Is it the biggest deal in the world? I mean, like I said, I researched them. It's like some company over in China, and they do it to everybody. And I'm not saying that that's okay by any means. We're working on a plan for that right now, because obviously they don't give a shit what I say or what she has to say, but we're working on taking that a little step farther. But other than that, I mean, which also kind of ties into what I'm about to say, it's very cutthroat. It's very, we meet a lot of people doing these shows, a lot of different other companies doing the conventions. Everybody at times seems to think they've reinvented the wheel when they actually haven't. So there's that, but we just take it with a grain of salt, and we just keep doing what we're doing. Again, we're very inspired by what we do and what we know and what we enjoy.
We keep to our little circle.
So I mean, in terms of let's just say horror movies, like me personally, one of my favorite horror movies is The Shining. So we tend to put out a little bit more Shining themed or inspired horror movie merchandise than a lot of other movies. And again, there's legalities and licensing and this and that. So we try and just keep it where we can be creative with it and inspired, in our own way, where we're keeping it to our own version and this and that. But there's, a lot of other people out there that just want to cut you down and think that their idea is better than yours or this and that. And it's all very silly because, essentially all these characters have already been created for everybody to enjoy and interpret or draw or whatever you want to say about it. So, we've dealt with our fair share of trolls and this and that, and I'm not trying to go off on a tangent about that.
I will say this: when we first started doing shows, as far as vendors or other artists, they were very open and more friendly. And as we got bigger and started expanding, it changed on us. Like, I guess we became the competition. And what's really crazy is that, like, coming from entertainment, like, you have that, but you're just going in there, like, as you know, Jay and all of you guys, when you go into a dressing room, like, you shake everyone's hand. You introduce yourself. You're respectful. That's just how we are at the shows. We didn't know that these people had a knife in their back hands. And we're just, when you start realizing that, like, oh, this isn't a gig. This is different. This is a convention. Like, these people are not other actors or actresses or musicians or wrestlers or whatever. Like, you don't have to pay your respects and go shake everyone's hand. Like, they actually have a knife in their hand to stab your back. You realize, and then you just start stepping back and be like, I'm cool with you, but I'm going to do my own thing and not do the dinners and not be social with you and not be, watch yourself. And we never thought that you had to do that, but it took us about 2 years to be like, wow, it's a little bit high school in here. And we're not used to that because we're adults. So that kind of was actually mind-blowing for both of us. Like, we both looked at each other and be like, these are grown-ass adults acting like they're, like, 12 years old. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, we're all, like, life.
You have people, I mean, we work our asses off. And trust me, I'm not trying to toot our own horn by saying this. We work our asses off 24/7. Like we said before, I mean, there's no off button. We wake up, it's like, I wake up as soon as I hit my phone and I roll over, I wake up to emails and this and that, and that's all good. It's fine. But when we go to some of these conventions, you have other companies, other vendors, whatever you want to call it, they don't work to build their business 24/7. They're there to try and make as much money as they can that weekend, and that's where that cutthroat comes in, because they don't give a shit about you. They don't, we're gonna be nice and this and that. And look, I'm not here to sugarcoat shit. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's not about being friends, and everyone talks about con family, this and that. Jay, you are one of our biggest con family friends. When it comes to that, but when it comes to the business end and the vendors and this and that, like, we're cool with a lot of people, and we've made a lot of good friends with people over the years, but we've also weeded a ton of fucking people out. And that's just that, right, and that's just the way it is, and that's the way it's gonna be, because we went in with the attitude of, like, hey, like, we're cool, like, hey, like, we made friends with the competition, this and that, we don't care. Like, everybody's shit stands on their own, and there's been nobody that we've had a problem with in terms of, like, oh, hey, well, you're doing this and we're doing this, so, like, we don't care. Like, we're totally cool with everybody, but it's not the same for everybody else that's out there. So just in terms of what you're asking, I think that's, like, the biggest obstacle when it comes to what we're doing, because you have 10,000 companies online selling this and that, and people can make that choice. You decide what you want to buy, but when you're in that convention atmosphere, you got people trying to cut you down left and right, and it's just
it's disturbing.
At first, like, we were a little bit more, I think both, like, as we said, you're the
I'm
sensitive one.
yeah.
But I think we were both a little bit more like, what's going on here? Like, we graduated high school. Why are we in these cliques? Why are we, worrying about who's hanging out with who and who's going to dinner with who? I mean, at the end of the day, we love meeting people. We love hanging out with people. But this is our business. Like, there is no off switch. There is no 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. Our 9 to 5 is sweating our asses off in the fucking garage, making shit and trying to get orders out as quickly as possible. So. Yeah, just, I mean, even like the creating part is not, it's not the challenge. Like, we throw around ideas all the time where we can just sit and, like, we have to weed through ideas, Yeah,
we have notebooks and notebooks where I'm like, is this good? And he's like, no. And he's like, is this good? I'm like, if we switch it in here.
I'm like, I don't know. Like, we'll work it out. And then maybe we come back to it 6 months later and we're like, oh, you know what?
Better.
We know how to make it good now, and then we do it.
Those ideas, and like I will say, like, we have, like what Mark said, we've met people like you, Jay, that has become our family. That like never would have met personal in a life that is now part of our inner circle, and we've met some really like Rock and Horror has brought amazing people into our life, but it's also taught us to shield.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
So we appreciate you so very much. Like, you're actually a good human.
No, absolutely. No, and you guys have always been, great.
Love you on your Facebook. Like, we see your Facebook. Like, everybody loves you, Jay.
That is true.
My thing about it was always like really, really simple. Like, is like, I love everybody. Like, the world is for me. I got, like, I tell people this at the restaurant all the time. Like, I have like the best job in the world. Like, I get to wait, I take care of guests in the restaurant, make cocktails, create things. I get to find out where people have been, where they're going, what they're doing now. Yeah, look, that particular day job might not be for everybody, but it's pretty fucking good. And it's cool to kind of be able to just kind of do that kind of stuff and interact with people, and then have like a nightlife that involves like music and stuff like that. And I super duper love it, So I am very much that same kind of open type person to everybody. But I definitely love what you said, Lizzy, about the shielding thing too, because the other phrase that I also tell people all the time is, I was like, fact of the matter is, my mirror at home works. I see it before you do. I know what I put out there. So there is a certain amount of like, I'll give you a lot, but I'm still going to protect this much. And this is the important part right here. It's just like, it's not personal. It's just not for everybody,
Like, so exactly. And like, some people think, like, I remember my agent, and I'm dating myself, 10 years ago, said, you need to get more personal on social media to bring your fans in. So I started posting my bulldogs and posting more personal things. And I learned that, you have to post that personal stuff. Like, you guys remember watching the Osbournes, right? When the Osbourne show, how amazing was that to see Ozzy Osbourne, like, in his house, just being like nuts and crazy and like amazing, and Sharon and the kids. It changed the way television and entertainment was. That was the change of social media. That was the change of entertainment. And I remember my agent saying, you have to do that. But, there are some nasty people that have been like, you guys post too much. It's like, listen, we might post a lot, but there's so much more that you motherfuckers don't even know about. So we post just enough to keep your tongue tingling, but there's so much more. And that's the, what you were just saying, is letting people in, but just enough to keep them tingling and wanting more. And that's the like balance of life, is keeping them there, but not giving them everything.
Absolutely, for sure, 100%. Hey, Jason, since we're getting around that top of the hour, why don't you start us off for like our final like couple go rounds? And Angel, why don't you pick it up right after so we can check on the fans?
Sure.
All right. So, I literally had a question in my head, and then it disappeared. But
Angel, what are you doing to people, dude?
I have
don't
no
know.
clue.
That's okay.
Full locks.
Oh
no
yeah.
worries.
Okay. So.
Oh, cool.
Are you familiar with the show Shark Tank?
Yes.
Have you ever considered in your years in the business to attempt to submit or get on that show?
Not one bit.
No.
His mom actually brought it up to us, and we were just like, Nancy, it's not happening. They will tell us to get out in the first 5 seconds. Once they see I've come to do the devil's work, which is what Jay is wearing, they'll be like, bye-bye. Devil.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, nobody's gonna wear that shit.
They'll be like, babe. They will throw us into sharks.
We don't mean that as any disrespect.
No. We love you, but we know that, like, when we walk into the grocery stores, people be like, what the hell are you wearing? I mean, we're wearing Hocus Pocus Devil's Work masks into, like, Trader Joe's. Everyone's turning around like the lunatics are here. So, that's our lifestyle. Our windows open. I think all our neighbors are
fine.
watching.
It's fine.
Everyone knows us here.
We live in a community where people like to prefer quiet, and then we moved in.
And we moved in, and we're like, the park's here.
It's like an echo chamber out there. We shut the shades here, but the window's open, the screen door is open over there. I'm sure everyone's like, oh my God, when are they going to shut up? But no, it's all good. It's all we enjoy it.
We just keep entertaining.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. Angel, how's everybody doing on the fan side?
Well, we got a question from Star Peters. Have you ever had an idea you might have mentioned in passing only to have another artist knowingly get it out ahead of you?
Oh, I'm dead.
That's a good question.
It happens. It happens all the time.
Every fucking day.
We started saying to each other, and just recently, even we've been like, I tell her all the time now. I'm like, if you have an idea, write it the fuck down, and let's get it out as quickly as possible. If we don't do it, someone else is going to do it, and that kind of also carries over into, a lot of the stuff that we've done that we've seen other companies put out after us, and I'm not going to go into that. It is what it is, because the truth and the fact of the matter is a lot of people do have the same idea. You know what I mean? And, that's why, like, we're just like, we got to get it out before someone else does it. At least we did it first. But yeah, I mean, it's happened.
Like I said, we have notebooks and notebooks that we're just trying to come up. That we have ideas and like sketches, and we just.
It still even happens to this day. I mean, we see it. Not that I want to say that certain people are ripping other people off, but like we even see it recently with, companies that we've done conventions with other companies, just like online, whatever, putting shit out, and we're like, so and so is not going to be happy about that one. Yeah. But it just kind of, it's again with kind of what we said about the people overseas, ripping off this and that. I mean, they're blatantly ripping off our designs. Like it's the exact design. It's her exact picture. And of course, that's one side of the spectrum. But the other side of that is just that, like, you gotta kind of just take everything with a little bit of grain of salt and just kind of realize that people, we're in the business of. We're rock and horror. We're rock and roll and horror movie. And that's where we draw our inspiration from. And there's other people that are going to have similar ideas. And, again, we've seen it with other companies just pop up. Someone will send us something and we're like, oh, I've never heard of those people. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it's the case vice versa. I want to give everyone a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here. But, when you're all in the same kind of genre, it's bound to happen.
That's right.
So.
Yeah.
we just try and be respectful and, appreciate everybody and just kind of hope that everyone can respect each other.
Cool.
Definitely.
I got
sure.
a question for you, Mark.
Yeah.
Growing up, is there a song or an artist that that made you want to become a musician?
Yes. When I was in 7th grade, I went to my school's talent show, and the kids in 8th grade, they were in a Nirvana band. It was called With a Twist of Lemon. They played, I think it was Breed, Aneurysm, and I don't know, maybe Lithium. I can't remember. I ended up joining that band as a 7th grader who owned a bass guitar. I've never played a note of music before in my life, and those guys kind of taught me how to play bass, how to read tablature, but from that day when I saw them play those songs as a little 7th grader sitting in the gymnasium of my school, I was like, I want to do that. I want to play music, so it wasn't really so much, so to speak, a big touring band or somebody famous or this and that. It was just kids that I went to school with. I was like, holy shit, like that's cool. The whole gymnasium was clapping to Nirvana songs, which, in retrospect, it's like, who fucking claps to Nirvana? And I say that, kind of joking, but, when you're 12 years old or whatever it was, and everyone's, doing this, it was like, oh shit, like I want to do that. And then, my dad had bought me and my brother a guitar and a bass that kind of laid around the house, and it was after that day that I picked it up and kind of started teaching myself. And of course, Nirvana was an influence, Metallica, Megadeth, Pantera. That's what I started out playing guitar to, and I'm mostly self-taught. But yeah, I think that just unconventionally speaking, it was my high school or grade school talent show that made me want to be a musician.
Nice. That's super duper cool. Have you guys put out a design that, I mean, of course you put out the designs just like you said about what you like and what you would want to wear, but if you guys put out a design that really popped off, maybe more than you were expecting it to do? I have one in mind, but I'm just curious if there's been a design you guys have released that have really sold like super well, where you're kind of like, well, I loved that design, but man, so does the world.
First of all, I want to know what you have to say, because it's more interesting.
Feel this for 1 second. The person with the tiny bladders in the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I would like to know what you think, because it's like highly interesting, because I have a couple.
Sure. Well, while the man with the tiny bladder is taking care of it, we'll talk. Well, and this was just something I noticed really from when the three of us pretty much just hung out for 3 days at Maryland Death Fest.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, that was Cat Sabbath. And like that one, it's a great design. It's fun. You guys have gotten orders from my coworker, Pat Turner. He loves your cat designs, and Cat Sabbath is probably his favorite, along with Cats Rule Everything Around Me.
Yeah.
But just from, some pictures that people are sharing on your social medias, as well as just sitting with you guys, just talking and watching you work, that's the one that I've noticed really seemed to get some legs under it.
And it's like crazy. It's like weird. It kind of depends where you are. Like if we're at a metal show or a rock show, like Cat Sabbath like sells like crazy, And we always sell Cat Sabbath, but then we'll go to a horror convention and it'll be like Weirdos Mister or Home Sweet Home or what else, Mark?
What did I miss?
A top seller at a show.
So at the shows, it's always kind of been like, at least as of recent, like Cat Sabbath, Halloween Forever.
He said Cat Sabbath. Halloween Forever started. It used to be Every Day is Halloween, but then
we haven't brought that.
We stopped bringing it because we have so many designs that we can only bring so many. So with the Halloween, we have Every Day is Halloween. Halloween is not a holiday, it's a lifestyle, and Halloween Forever. We try to rotate it, But when we brought Halloween Forever, it was like bam, 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 bam. And it was the same thing with Cat Sabbath, with Cats Roll Everything Around Me. It was like Cat Sabbath, Cat Sabbath, Cat Sabbath. You know, so we only have so much room, so we only bring like what it's hard because you try to sit there and go, okay, like let's bring this design. And there's designs that like him and I love. Like
pretty much everything that I really like that
Route 66 the best, and at shows it's like but then it starts making a comeback and you're just like, why didn't you like it 3 months ago and now we don't bring it? Everyone's like, did you bring Route 66? And we're like, fuck my life, but we have it online. We're like, well, I wanted to get it here. It's like, you know, it's hard to know. Like we try to gauge, but some of our personal designs kind of that we are like, yeah, goes at a show. And then everything else we're like, I don't get it. And then, you know, it's always opposite of what we do.
It's very bizarre how there's certain, no, you're fine. Certain trends with like what sells. You know, in terms of what she was just saying, like, we'll put some now, and as you know, like we have a ton of shit, you know, and which is the benefit of printing everything and designing everything yourself is that you can make whatever you want when you want it, and you can put it out, and you can have, you know, I think we're like at our cap on our Big Cartel site, like 300 items. And there's some things on there that are, you know, not active or whatever. We got to clean it up. But long story short, you know, there's just designs that like we like, you know, like you said, like, you know, like the witching hour or whatever. I wear that a lot. The Route 666. Cat Sabbath is one of my favorite designs. And it does great at the shows, but like online, it's not a top seller. Out of all the 300 things that we have, which is bizarre because when you go to a convention, people are like, oh, I need that, you know, whatever. But it's very weird how there's like these certain trends with what sells at a certain time. And it definitely like, you know, like our funeral shirt, we got a handful of orders for that the other day where that's been, you know, relatively quiet. We haven't promoted that one in a while, but people find it and they like it. And I think it's just kind of like that word of mouth thing too, where, you know, people are like, oh, check out this shirt I just got from, you know, rockandhorror.com. And then their friends see it and like, oh, I got to get that. And they go, you know, it's kind of that power of influence thing, I guess, maybe. I don't know. We're still trying to figure it out. Like, I went to college for business, but I don't know shit about what I'm doing still. We're just kind of figuring it out as we go and trying to assess everything. And
we could print a design, like a bunch of just like, we could sit there and go, okay, we're going to do like all these designs and print and go on the road for like a month and print all this stuff. And then we bring it and everyone's like, but where's this one? We're just like,
it's always the way it works.
We're like, what they want, you know, they want what we brought the last show.
Right. So, and I'm very analytical in the sense of like, you know, I tell her all the time, she's the bookkeeper. You know, I say, hey, what sold, like say we're going to do Monster Mania, March 2019. I'm like, hey, where's the book from 2018? Let's see what went over well and let's gauge that. And this is kind of ties into what you're asking. You know, it's like, oh, well, March 2018, we sold this, and this was a huge hit. And then we'll make, you know, a ton of these, and then we go to Monster Mania, and it'll be like, opposite. Oh, do you have that shirt that you made once in 2014 and never made again? And we're like, can't fucking win, dude. You know what I mean?
It's like you can't. Like we keep like I write everything down. I even take notes when people are like, "Do you have this?" And I'm like, "Write a note. We didn't bring this shirt, so I write a note. We bring that shirt next time, and nobody wants it." I'm just like,
the first Riot Fest we did, you know, in Chicago in September. We didn't know. We never did it before. We're like, oh, we're gonna make a bunch of hoodies. It's fucking Chicago. It's September, but it's September. It's Chicago. It's always fucking cold there. No. And then we got there, and it's like a heat wave, and nobody wanted hoodies. And then we did Riot Fest. I think it was last year.
You know what they wanted though?
We made some hoodies, but everybody wanted fucking hoodies. Like we sold out of hoodies the first night. it was freezing, and then we were just like, hanging our heads low, like, oh god, we should have made more hoodies. We could have been millionaires by now. Not really, but
we could have been better off. But it's like you like never know.
You never know, and that's just what we've. Now we're just like, yeah, we'll just fucking show up with what we have, and we'll figure it out.
What like we're into. Like if we have new stuff, like I'm obsessed obviously with Hocus Pocus. So like Hocus Pocus is obviously going. Lizzy Borden, like I'm like anything Lizzy Borden, anything Hocus Pocus, anything like witchy is going, and then I let him. He kind of goes, "We're gonna do this, obviously Halloween, but it's kind of like we try to bring like the.
I don't know why you listen to me. I'm always wrong.
I'm always
like,
wrong.
hey, we gotta do this, and like, no one gives a shit.
I'm always wrong too.
Yeah, there's definitely always going to be like a certain amount of like trial and error when it comes to like figuring out. Plus, people are just people, and there are definitely times that they just don't fucking know what they want.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Jason. Yeah. Anything final from yourself there, brother?
Just a statement that forecasting it never works.
Nah, not for us at least.
Nah, it's opposite.
For sure. No, definitely. Angel, pass it up to you, man.
No, I thought that was like the last round of last questions when I got mine.
Oh, it's all good, brother. No worries. I got one more thing that I'm going to throw at them, which is just a question that was probably only going to come from me or one of their fans. But I just wasn't sure if there was anything final from you, brother.
From the fans, no. I guess my last question would be, what can the fans expect in the coming years? Will you guys still be touring the way that you guys do, or again with you guys being at home and enjoying being home, of course?
Yes, I'm gonna say two things, and I'm gonna let Mark take over. One, when we moved back to San Diego, one of two of our goals, was to get back into horror movies. Both of us. I want him to score and act in them. I want to get back into horror movies. And two, we came up with this really cool thing that got shut down during COVID called the Rockin' Burlesque Show, where he plays and sings and I do my fire and burlesque show. So something new to have him play and have like this whole rock and burlesque show of crazy pyros, music, dance, beautifulness. And hopefully after all the COVID and we can get back to doing shows, those are two things that, aside from him playing Bloodjoint and Mark Hall and doing all the bands that he's in, I would just like to be on stage with him and be able to come over him and do my fire and have him do his Nikki Sixx thing with flames coming out of his guitar.
Yeah, we're going to fucking light ourselves on fire.
Well, he's going to light himself on fire, and I'm going to drip hot wax all over his face. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the thing. It's like movies.
Yeah, no. You pretty much hit the nail on the head, and you probably said it better than I would. When we left Salem, we've gotten a little bit of shit for that or whatever. In terms of we make decisions based on what's best for us, and we met out here. I moved to San Diego in 2008, at the end of 2008. And we ended up meeting 2013. We have, believe it or not, a lot of roots out here. You know what I mean? Where it just made sense. Well, yes, you are from here. But when we sat down and kind of analyzed what we wanted to do in the future, both of us coming from entertainment, how we can utilize both our backgrounds and take it past the clothing, because at the end of the day, we're entertainers, but there's no cap to what we can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know a ton of musicians. She knows a ton of directors and screenwriters, and we want to combine that. And unfortunately, with the Rona, put a damper on a lot of things, but we're not, by any means like going to just be like, oh well, oh well.
No, I mean it's why
we're going to push forward, and in terms of product line, we're only growing. We've been expanding literally since we've started, where the technology that we have to put out new products. I mean, I was kind of joking, we signed into this and I was like, here, have a Hocus Pocus pillow. We go eat dinner. I didn't want to make you stare at my couch or the glare from the sun or whatever. But I mean, like those pillows, like we didn't have any idea that we'd be doing that. Not 7 years ago, but even 6 months ago. So we're just constantly investing and trying to build our line. We're moving into a lot of the home goods. Jay, as you've seen over the years, we went from t-shirts, tank tops. We got our mugs. And this is not a shameless plug, but we got our mugs, we got our pillows. We're doing cutting boards now.
We did towels before,
kitchen towels, whatever.
We're starting our jewelry. It's just a lot of.
And again, in terms of product line, a lot more stuff, a lot more just unique stuff is our goal for that. And then in terms of us as a couple and as Rockin' Hard, because not only are the products Rockin' Hard, this is Rockin' Hard. Again, there's no employees, there's no warehouse. We do this out of our garage. There's no models. We do it all ourselves. That's why we try and post, like, we throw in the pillows here and there. No one wants to see our faces that much. But this is an evolving company, but it's also an evolving couple in terms of what we do.
Everything's it's like we're a tree. We just keep growing at the roots up with us and the company and the entertainment. And we came, like Mark said, we came back to our roots, being in California. You have the fashion capital, you have the entertainment capital, you have the music capital, you have everything here. Our roots are here. And as much as we love Salem, and we still love Salem, we want to have a second home there.
Yeah, I mean,
we just need to grow here, because it really pisses both of us off when people talk shit about Marilyn Manson or Rob Zombie being like, Rob Zombie should just do music and not do movies. Well, I'm sorry, but I appreciate his music and his movies. Manson should just do music. He shouldn't, paint or do. Manson's a great painter. I don't know if you guys see his artwork. It's like fucking amazing. But when you have those trolls like trolling on those people, being like, you should just do this. So you're telling an artist that they should just be this. That's like insane to me. Like, let artists grow. They could do more than just one thing. And that's why we started out in entertainment. I'm so blessed to come from entertainment and to have a fashion company. I mean, oh my God. Like, I've lived multiple lives. And so has he. He's a musician that's done amazing things. And now he has a clothing company. I mean, there is no limit. There's no rules and there's no boundaries. And if it's not us, it's going to be somebody. So why not us?
Absolutely. 100%. And then it's like a final little thing to throw at you guys before we put a nice little bow or give it a nice little axe wound to the face. The thing that would be kind of cool is, of course, with the touring and excessive touring that you guys have done and had been doing, you get to see your fair share of things on the road, lots of different sites. But if anybody who follows you on social media knows how much you love, like, your haunts and everything like that. You already mentioned the Lizzy Borden bed and breakfast. I also know how much you love the Clown Motel. For people that are into that kind of stuff, where do they need to go and visit?
Hotel Monte Vista in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Amazing.
That's one of our favorites. And there's like a whole story on that. You can just go to their website and look it up. We kind of found it on a whim. Clown Motel, obviously.
Where's that place in Texas that was amazing?
Okay. So in San Antonio, there's the Emily Morgan Hotel. Now it's a DoubleTree by Hilton, but it's the Emily Morgan by DoubleTree, whatever. I know that the Hilton thing might throw some people off, but it used to be like a psych ward, a hospital psych ward. We stayed there about a year ago.
It's amazing.
It was really cool. Like the rooms were fucking awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, Clown Motel. I mean, you can't get anything bigger.
What else have we?
Lizzy Borden, Clown Motel, Emily Morgan. Oh, Hotel Shanley was pretty amazing. We had some crazy shit there.
Right. So a lot of the pictures that we post on Instagram were from the Hotel Shanley, and that's in
by you guys. Right?
Well, no, it's in upstate New York.
It's still closer to them than it is us.
Yeah, it's closer to Maryland and New Jersey than California. Yes.
See, I'm right with Patrick.
Not the best with geography, but it's okay. We love her anyway. Hotel Shanley. It's upstate New York. I can't remember the name of the town, but
amazing.
It was cool. It was not what we expected. We didn't realize that it was going to be like you're signing up for a ghost hunt weekend.
They give you all the gear, and you don't even know how to work it. And they teach you how to work it. And they're like, okay, 8 o'clock at night until 1 o'clock in the morning, you're walking around the house looking for ghosts. And we're like, we just want to get high and have sex in a crazy hotel.
So
and they're like, no, you're looking for ghosts. And they have a whorehouse. Ooh, can I say whorehouse?
It's a brothel, but yeah,
absolutely.
You don't have to censor yourself.
There's a brothel outside, which is like so beautiful. It's like a pretty brothel. No one ever says pretty brothel, but there's a pretty brothel, and you're in there, and I'll tell you, there was so much energy there that like we got back to our room and we just laid there, and we were like, we gotta put on Everyone Loves Raymond because we're so wounded from all the spirits, because you feel the energy being sucked out of your body.
Well, so just to warn, and it was great. We had a great time, but we did not know that we were signing up for ghost hunting. When we went to Hotel Monte Vista in Flagstaff, you check in the lobby, you go to your room, and it's just, it's just the Hotel Monte Vista in Flagstaff. It's a creepy hotel. There's haunted stories. We have some stories we could tell about. I think we only stayed there 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, but let me just say real quick before.
Okay, go ahead.
When we got into the room, I have OCD, and I don't put my makeup case on the ground. If there's a chair, I'll put it on the chair. I had to put it on the bed because there was no chair. When we left the room and we came back, there was a chair in our room. And we Googled it, and a ghost puts a chair in. Don't you laugh, Jay. There was a chair in our room. A ghost put a chair in our room. I'm not okay with that. The whole night, I made him go to the bathroom with me because I was afraid to pee alone.
It's true. She was very...
When I get scared, he has to go to the loo with me because I don't want to be alone.
No, but it's true. We both did... So the Hotel Monte Vista, and I'm biased. The reason I like it is because they have a, like the gumball machines. You put a quarter in, you turn the dial. Okay, well they have it, but it's not gumball. It's chocolate covered espresso beans, and
we spent like $10.
Yeah, $10 and quarter. Well, because we were smoking weed and like we needed something to snack on.
We were drinking.
But we were visiting the machine very often throughout the course of the night. But
all night. The quarter came back out. Oh my God, we have stories.
Yeah, but
I know they gotta roll.
Yeah. Anywho, it was an experience.
We also went to the alien place.
In
Roswell. We went to Roswell. Roswell was cool. We got Roswell. We got alien beef jerky. Wasn't good, but it was cool.
Yeah.
We have stories that I know you guys like have to wrap up, but like if you guys were to sit down and like hear everything, you guys would be like either they're wackadoos or they're cool as fuck. As Jay laughs, because Jay knows that we're nuts. Yes.
You guys open up a whole new can of worms.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we'll save that for another episode. But you know how much Jay loves you.
Jay loves you. Jay loves you.
But anyway, we want to express our deep thanks to you guys. Taking time out of your afternoon into your evening to definitely have an extended episode with us, Mark, Lizzy. It's been awesome to get to rock out with you guys. What truly does matter for us is that that you guys had a good time, that you felt that this was worth it for you, that you felt respected, and you liked the questions that were asked to you. So we definitely appreciate you taking your time. And for all the metal summoners out there, we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in as always. Guest announcement coming up in the near future. For Jason, for Angel, for Psycho Steve, I'm Jay. Thanks again for another episode of the Metal Summit. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week, every Wednesday on your island of Misfit Toys. Enjoy your rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and come back and see us in a little while. Peace out.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man.